the kind of environment that you were in, a lot of people would actually lose their confidence, right? So being in that environment where you're surrounded by non-Muslims who potentially are kind of laughing at your faith and like not taking it seriously and stuff. So how is it that you kind of made that into confidence rather than a lack of confidence?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. But I think there's a few factors. I think one, seeing my dad, I think my father was very confident as a person, and he was quite outspoken. And sometimes we see our parents, we see qualities in our parents, and sometimes it might be qualities which we don't necessarily want to emulate, but we can take the good from it, you know. So my dad was very outspoken. He had very outspoken views. He used to I remember one of his views was like in the mosque. He used to always complain, like people always, you know, going over our shoulders and jumping over our shoulders. They should make lanes for people, you know, so things like that. And people wouldn't always listen to him, but he always used to have these controversial, and he was never afraid to speak his mind. So I think I took a bit from that. So that must have given me confidence, seeing him like that and seeing my dad, you know, speaking his mind and doing things, being a doctor and setting up, you know, he's setting up a GP surgery when, you know, very few people could. So I think that was a factor. That must have been a kind of genetic thing. I think the second thing, when you become practicing, and this is an important part of, you know, being a Muslim, is that, you know, fear of Allah and this sense of, you know, especially when you read the seerah and you realize how the Sahaba were, and they obviously had to they went through that, right? The Makkah phase where that they had to kind of hold on to their faith, even though they knew everybody would oppose them. And I think when you're becoming practicing, you're reading that and you're reading about the Quran, you realize that this is part of being a Muslim. Part of being practicing is that you know you're going to get tested, you know you're going to get opposed. So I think that helped me be ready for that, you know. And then thirdly, I think the nice thing about England as a country is that I genuinely believe this, is that they actually respect you more when you express your own identity. They actually value. It is quite multicultural, and like, you know, I mean, even for example, I remember my last big teaching interview. You know, it was an outstanding school, and I wanted to see if I could get in and teach at the highest level. And I remember in the interview, what I chose to do, they gave me a choice of what to teach. And I chose a poem called Half Caste by John Agard. And it's like, it's about identity, and it's about racism, and about how you shouldn't use the term half caste to describe people. And I still remember, I read the poem. It's called, and it starts off like, I'm standing on one leg, they call me half caste, right? And I literally stood on one leg, and I did the whole poem. I acted out like a Caribbean, I acted out. And they hired me on the spot because of that. They said, just the sight of a bearded practicing Muslim teaching in that way, we had to hire you, right? You know, so I've experienced that from a young age, that when you are confident, when you embrace your culture. So, for example, in high school, when in RE lessons, I remember I was like the teacher's pet, right? You know, and because I would just talk about Islam, and I was like, oh, this is easy. I just get 100%. I just talk about, you know, they always did the same research essay every year. Is religion alive and kicking in Preston? I think, you know, 10 years later, my brother was there. They still did the same essay. And so when I did that, I was like, yeah, I'll just write about the mosques, and I'll write, you know, and I realized that my background as a Bengali, you know, as a doctor's son, as a Muslim, I had all these different kind of multicultural identities. And rather than seeing them as a hindrance, actually, well, I've got all these experiences which these guys don't have, and you know, I could write about it even in England. I with my own students, and I tutor a lot of Muslims. I say, look, don't hide your background, embrace it, right? When you write about salwar kameez and laddus and these things, they don't even know what they are, right? As long as you put it in italics, it's going to look, oh wow, cultural, you know, it's going to look impressive, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I realized that, you know, in the environment, that if I, you know, show that this beard is my strength, that this is what I believe in, and they respect you more when you stand up for what you believe in. It's like authentic, isn't it? It's congruent with you. And I think when I saw that and experienced it, and alhamdulillah, when you do try it, you see the results quite quickly. Then the confidence builds upon that. You know, you get one success, and then another success builds upon it, and then it becomes your identity. You realize that, okay, this is who I am. I'm a Muslim, and I'm going to wear this beard whether they like it or not, you know, and I'm going to dress this way whether they like it or not. And yeah, they might laugh a little bit at the beginning, but they will grow to respect it. And ultimately, they'll actually, if I don't do that, they might not laugh at me in my face, but they're going to respect me less inside.
Great. I mean, it's actually quite interesting because you're saying that the thing that usually makes people feel less confident, like, oh my God, I'm a Muslim and no one else is a Muslim. You're saying instead of that being a weakness, that's actually your strength. And if you use that properly, it will make you stronger and it will make you more well respected, which in turn will probably build even more self-confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Alhamdulillah. Okay, great.